has it created a real conflict between British Sikhs, British Hindus, and British Muslims?
I think it is. This issue is a very sort of dividing issue. The terminology that the papers have used and the media have used, the terminology Asian, and Asia is a very, very big continent.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know off air we were talking about football. Yeah. And I remember in the early 70s, and as a football fan and supporting England, wherever England went to play in Europe, if they'd lost or they didn't play well, there'd be some certain, people who would riot or do something silly, and it would be headlines in the paper, English hooligans. English hooligans. They were never called European hooligans. They were always called English hooligans.
Yeah.
And that's where we've said, that why don't then the papers or MPs or whoever's in a power position, why don't they say, you have the data, you all the police forces have the data, the names of the people, the countries that they're from, and you can, it'll take you 10 minutes to collect the data and you see the names, and why can't you call them for what they are, call a spade a spade? Mm. And that causes a lot of conflict because, certain people say you're picking on us, you're racism, and they'll use words which, or abuse you on online or whatever. But, you're racist. In my books, racism was when, you supported Hitler or a Mussolini or stuff like that. But you're called a racist now when you want to stand up for your own daughter.
Yeah. Well, racism.
That's crazy. And then you've got, your right wing or your right wing supporters. No, we're not supporting anyone, but there's a crime being committed. Crimes have been committed, and this should be looked at. The figures as their own, the Quilliam report, when they done the report, and I remember when they started the report, they wanted to prove this narrative that it's not just Pakistani people doing it. And that was the start of his report. And then at the end, he's saying, well, I couldn't report that. And it's 84%. They came out with them figures. So, but look, there are people who are going to abuse and use you. Only a couple of days ago, we're not saying they're not groomers. Groomers or sexual abuser can belong to any faith, any culture, any sort of denomination, but we're not just saying, but there is a high percentage of one group. Now, if the governments are right and they really want to get down to the bottom of this, it's only in the best interest and harmony of the country that people know the truth, and then resources could be put towards that truth rather than just ignoring the fact that it's a problem. And but we're not going to say what the problem is and who's causing it and why it's being caused, when they have the resources to just very easily. It's only a couple of days ago, there was a gang from Bolton. 2 days ago, I think they got convicted, and they were abusing girls. Okay, these were 6 white men. Mm-hmm. In our community, I remember attending that court case up in Leeds. This was the Huddersfield grooming gang, and I was working with 3 young people from that area. From 2014, but this came to light in 2018, and there was a Sikh guy, and I wanted to go to court and show my disgust. But there was also 2 Punjabi guys, but there was also 20 Pakistanis. in the same group. So we want to call a spade, and we were in our disgust how, why, and I remember even going to his family.
To whose family?
To the Sikh guy's family. I remember knocking on their door, having a word with the...
Did they let you in?
Yes, and they let us in because I'm a community worker, but it wasn't a very good dialogue, because again, it's always no, they've got it wrong. The girls have just made it up, and and I think he's serving 30 years, and every case that's been convicted, no, they've got it wrong. These girls are just doing it for the money. These girls are doing it for that. So, it's a never-win situation. But I do believe that the authorities have got the resources. They've got every case logged on computers. So they're not going to move any paperwork. They just got to sit in front of a computer and get all these police forces around the country and say, well, hey, let's have a look at your data, and let's have a look at your data, and let's have a look at your data, and there you are. And that's why I feel that the national inquiry has not been done.
Oh, my God.
And then, you're saying local inquiries or 5 towns will do it, but you've got to ask, and I mean, that's so silly and stupid, is that if it's happened in 5 towns, just talk to the 5 towns, but this is happening across the country, the length and breadth of the country. So why deny a national inquiry? And once you get the inquiry, hey, we might be wrong. We might get it wrong. But it'll be proved. It'll be proved either way.
Yeah, let's look into it.